What is up, YouTube? That's here today. I'm back playing more Pokemon VGC 2023 Regulation C content. Today is a brand new month. It's a whole new world, and that means it's a whole new Patreon team submission month. That's right. Regulation C team fixing for Patreon is live. What I do is every single month on Patreon, where you guys can support, even the lowest tier gets access to this post and all of the other cool rentals and teams that are up exclusively on Patreon. I've said it once, I've said it before. If you guys have ever thought about supporting the channel, you guys like these videos, even 1 month on the Patreon in the lowest tier helps out more than watching every single one of the YouTube videos on this channel in terms of like how ad revenue and stuff works. So think about checking that out, and you know, hopefully you guys like what you see on the Patreon. But yeah, I fix teams on Patreon. So what I like to do, and what we're doing this month is actually asking the people that submit the teams to tell me the actual situation in which they want to use them. I feel that so many people want their teams fixed, but then they use them in situations where, like, I didn't fix them to work. Like, for example, a lot of people come with me with really, really crazy meme teams, and then I fix them to work better on the ladder, which is, like, closed team sheet best of 1. And then they go and they play, like, tournaments with them, and I'm like, half the reason that team worked is because its danger levels made your opponent have to over-respect and spend their own resources to respect a certain option so your meme could actually work. It's not made to work in an open team sheet setting. And case in point, things that are made to work in open team sheet settings, you've heard me say before, don't really work on a closed team sheet setting. There's a term that I like to call show and telling, right? So in an open team sheet setting, you have to be able to show what your team does and tell. You have to be able to capitalize on it. So for example, on this team, you know, if you were just to see the mons, you see like Flutter and Great Tusk. If this was an open team sheet, this team shows that it has Flutterman and Great Tusk. And Flutterman and Great Tusk usually have a lot of AoE damage, things like Dazzling Gleams, things like Earthquakes. This team doesn't. So it shows that it has these, but it can't tell, right? So in a closed team sheet setting, this would be really good because you're forcing your opponent to respect those Dazzling Gleam and Earthquake options, but you don't ever need to capitalize on them for them to have the same amount of effect as they would have in like a closed team sheet team preview. So in closed team sheet, you don't have to have as many cool options. You can cut those for more tech options. And in an open team sheet setting, you still have to have those options, right? So let me know when you guys are, you know, submitting your teams for this Patreon stuff, what format you're planning on using these. And that's also the question of the day. What format do you guys actually play? Because I want to know so I can make better content that's better suited to the stuff that you guys want to watch. Do you guys play tournaments, ranked, on Showdown, in-game? You know, let me know, because I feel this is a topic that definitely needs to be talked about a little bit more, and how the really good players are the ones that actually build specific teams for the formats that they're playing. You wouldn't take a team that's like in singles, for example. You wouldn't take a team that's like an NU or a PU team and use that in UU, OU, Ubers, vice versa, or in any situation. You would build a new team every single time, and I think VGC needs to be done the exact same way. The team that you build for like ranked ladder or those global challenges aren't the same ones you take to regionals, because they're just built differently. They're different metas. They're completely different games and the danger levels are completely different. For example, something like Indie Armor Rouge is way better in a closed team sheet setting than it is in an open team sheet setting, because they get to see where your protects are. They get to capitalize on that. They get to see where your defensive items are. And the 50-50s really get, you know, taken out of the game in that open team sheet setting. And I'm not trying to say any one format's better either. Like, I'm not trying to shame anyone that wants to play closed team sheet. I like closed team sheet. I like open team sheet. Just let me know so we can have a little bit more clarity moving forward. And that being said, moving forward with this team was submitted by Mikhail. You know, they're trying to build a Glimmora toxic into like the Hex combo Skeledirge with like a little bit of Klefki, Wo-Chien. I think it's a really good idea, but I think it's a little bit clunky. And that's why, you know, I asked them in this post to expand upon it, and they say they want to use it in tournaments and ladder. And again, those are just different, right? In a tournament, it's open team sheet. And in ladder, if you're playing in-game, it's closed team sheet. So I'm going to probably end up fleshing this out more towards closed team sheet. And, you know, it's still going to have the tools to work in ladder, but it's going to be optimized for closed team sheet. If we actually take a look at their team right here, I think it's really cool. Like, Skeledirge is good. A lot of the EVs on these mons are actually done very, very well, and I think the 6 mons that were chosen are very, very good mons for the team. It's just you need to be able to, like, flesh out the rest of the ideas and not make it so combo-based with, like, the Venoshocks and the, you know, Hex play. I think the Hex play is really what is going to slow this team down a little bit too much and make it a little bit too combo-based. So we're going to be able to flesh out some of the other ideas and let the other mons, you know, stand on their own without having to be 100% reliant on a you know, a 66 base speed Skeledirge just come in and save the day. So hopefully you guys like that. Let me know the answer to the question of the day in the comments. And if you guys want to see more content going in and breaking down the differences between like open and closed team sheet in the future. And without further ado, let's just get into the games and see if we win. So wish me luck. Here we go. Oh man, it's a Braviary with Gyarados and Bax. Okay. And Treads. It's such a weird team. I think Bax is still really good though. I think in this situation, there's nothing really wrong with Wo-Chien, though. Wo-Chien's pretty good, and we have Poison Tera to go away from that ice weakness that Bax will bring to the table. So something like Klefki and Wo-Chien can be very, very good. I'm thinking about what we need to bring them back. This is Fairy Tera Skeledirge, and I actually think it could be very useful here. It's just that if we bring these, we're really locking ourselves in and not having like any speed control other than like the Thunder Wave. We don't have like a Scarf Mon. We wouldn't have like our Protosynthesis Mon if we wanted to bring the Glimmora. That being said, do we even want to bring Glimmora? What Tera is this Glimmora? Is it grass? It is grass. Huh. I think that like you have to bring Flutter here, but I'm just not that big of a fan of it. I will bring the Flutter. I think that's going to be good. Cool. One thing that I think is worth mentioning about this team as well, if we take a look at the submitted Pokebase here, I feel that like the Hex is trying to do a little bit too much on this guy. Obviously, you're trying to pair it with things like the Glimmora and things like the Klefki, but you'd probably just have more value with putting something like Yawn here, just for future reference. Just so you can actually like weave in those Yawns to be able to bring out your Flutter Mane and then go for things like Sub and stuff like that and get away with it for free. So Bax Braviary, pretty much what I expected on the first turn. I think against this double physical attacker lead, I'm just going to pop a Reflect and Leech Seed. The question is, who are we Leech Seeding? And I'm actually going to Leech Seed the Braviary. It has a very high base health pool. And in some of these situations, there's nothing really wrong for them in like protecting Bax and going for a Tailwind just to have the double speed control that you need. So we're going to go for the Reflect, and there's a much lower chance of Braviary protecting the first turn as opposed to like Bax. So we're just going to go for the Leech Seed first. And let's see if they go for the Protect Tailwind. If they want to go for like the Icicle Spear or some crazy attack, that's completely fine. Looks like they are deciding to attack, no protects. And let's see what happens here. You can totally like Brave Bird and do everything. Yeah, Earthquake, I thought I was going to Tera, I'm not. There's no reason, right? There's no reason to Terastallize the Wo-Chien and give it the same weakness as the Klefki either. And we can definitely still eat this Brave Bird, I think. So Brave Bird goes in hot. Yep, eat it absolutely fine. Remember, we have Leftovers and the Leech Seed's going to be taking on a very high base health Mon. So we're in a really, really good spot here. Next turn, we can just go for Protect Wo-Chien. We don't need to set up a light screen, so I'm probably just going to go for the... I'm probably going to Thunder Wave the Bax. It says it's faster than the Braviary based off like the features that were shown, and there's a much higher % chance of Braviary having an item like a Lumberry. And I think this is a good time to explain like the small little intricacies that happen on the ladder, specifically the ladder on the Switch, as opposed to like the ladder on Showdown or in like a tournament. Open team sheet and closed team sheets are so many different. There's such a different format where something like a Braviary can be broken in like this exact situation and it would win them the game, but like in an open team sheet it would be just not great and you'd probably be better off with something else. So it's those little things that like that's why I say it's so important to note these things when like you're submitting your teams, just because they're pivoting out the Braviary. Let's see what's coming in here. What would have been Thunder Whipped? A Moongus, cool. But you see what I mean? How it's like so important to like actually tell me the format that you want me to fix your team for. Let's see, is it one Bax? I mean, not really, that's not a thing. I wonder if they're probably attacking the Wo-Chien this turn, right? Oh, couldn't move, cool. But yeah, it's so important to actually tell me the exact format you want me to pick your team for, because the things that are better in like ranked like this where it's closed team sheet, they're not like necessarily gimmickier, but there's items like choice items like are really, really good in a closed team sheet format. Damage reduction berries are really, really good in a closed team sheet format. And if that's the format you want to practice and want to get good at, you should probably let me know so I can like have the right items and the right teams, stuff like that. So for example, like the safety goggles on the Skeledirge is really, really good in this closed team sheet format. Otherwise, you would probably just go like Grass Tear or something like that to be able to pivot on the Amoonguss. But right now, because they don't know we have safety goggles Skeledirge, they're going to go for a Spore into the Klefki and we're going to be like, Lamau, how about we just win the game? Right? So it's like there's techs that we can set up because we know we're playing like a closed team sheet that aren't even technically gimmicky. It's just that like this tech wouldn't even be an option if you wanted to only play like best of 3 open team sheet stuff. So we get the big Leech Seed up on there. ISO Crash, we should be fine unless they crit. Dude, we're absolutely fine, we're killing it. And the big, oh, they side Pollen Puffed. Oh, they Pollen Puff that guy. Oh, good play. Good play. Hey, good stuff. That's a crit, by the way, too. I think they needed it, even though it's 4 times effective. Amoonguss isn't that strong. That's clean. Leech Seed is still taking on backs, so that being said, the right play I think here is Flutter, and you pop the sub. The Leech Seed is going to be going into that slot, and they probably, I wouldn't be surprised to see like a swap of the backs out. Now, what are they swapping to is the real question. They still have the Braviary, they still have Speed Control. We're just going to go for the Torch Song into the Amoonguss, though. And go for just a sub. I don't think there's a single issue with that. They have to go through a lot to be able to do anything here. They have to go through Para, they have to go through a sub, they have to go through Reflex. They're staying in no protects, bro. They're risking it all. They're risking literally everything this turn. That's crazy. Torch Song pops off. Give me that boost, boys. Definitely valuable. Big Para on that Vax. Yeah, you can't just be doing that. And show me that Spore. Show it to me. Clear Smog. Hey, that's clean. That's really, really cool. Clear Smog's great tech there. I like that a lot. I wonder if we can just OHKO their backs with a Moonblast. If I Terastallize. Because I can just go for the same Torch Song into the Amoonguss to pick up that KO. That's a great Clear Smog. This is a good Amoonguss set. Torch Song in here. Just check something out here. Alright. Yeah, they didn't Tailwind. You're right. They had they just led Braviary. That's fine. So we're in Torch Song there, and we're actually just gonna go big Fairy Tera Moonblast right into this back. So I want to make sure we get it off the board. I want to keep that sub, and I want to keep the Skeledirge like really, really topped off. And this is another good example of how like you can see if we were to get this Yawn, if we were to get like a double KO here, and then have the ability to go like protect Flutter, make them over respect our sub, we can like weave in those Yawns. This Braviary is probably gonna go down here, and yeah, we're probably gonna be able to get this one. But I think it could still be cleaner. Like I think like it could be cleaner with Yawns. We just played everything exactly how I think the team needed to be played. Get the right Leech Seeds up, force your opponent to switch, soak the right amount of damage. Yes, we got crit once, but it's no big deal. So big Moonblast. As long as we take out as long as we get a double KO here, we're gonna win the game for sure. So big damage. This is not a full special attack Flutter. Ooh, they hold. But that means that's probably a vested Braviary. Braviary is so bulky. Oh, it's not vested. It's probably just heavy HP Spadef then. Is that Citrus? That's a good Braviary set. And again, like, Braviary can do so many different things in this closed team sheet format. It's crazy how much it can actually get done. But that's fine. Next turn I can just go Moonblast into that slot. Or I can just... I think I might still Moonblast it because I want to make sure they can't go protect Tailwind. Because, I mean, the fact they did show Citrus means they're not vested and they can go with those sort of things. There's their Flutter. This is a great... This is a weird one. Oh, they have no booster. Yeah, we're just going to Hex. I mean, I know I said that I didn't really want to use Hex, but, like, it's technically the strongest move that I have in this exact situation. So, I would still rather Yawn if I had it, but I'm just going to go for that. And I'm going to get the Braviary off the board. Over-respecting the Braviary is the right play here, because what are you going to do, right? Your only real options here are... Let's see, are you going to Steel Tera Braviary Tailwind? No. Fairy Tera over there. Absolutely fine. No big deal. Because you can't really break the backs here. We also have, like, Unaware, too. So, big Moonblast. Get that Braviary off the board. No more Tailwind. No potential of Tailwind. Ain't never even heard of it. Boom! And we still have the sub up. That's the thing. It's like, we have the sub. That's the reason why we got this in the bag, I would say. Shadow Ball into the Dirge. I think Dirge eats this. We have heavy HP Spadef on this thing. Ooh, just kidding. That's disgusting. That's actually just an absolutely massive amount of damage. It probably means that you're spexed as well. Bring the Klefki. Let's think about what we want to do here. That has to be specs to KO. Right? So that means that since we know that it's specs, it shouldn't be able to protect, so we can just double into it. We can also just Thunderwave it with Klefki. I don't really need to set a Light Screen. We still have a Reflect up. I think we just double into it. I think we actually just go like D-Gleam plus the Moonblast into that slot to get the KO. I can't believe they KO'd the Dirge. D-Gleam's still really good damage. And they should be able to get it. Let's see what they want to do. There are like a few situations like I was going to say like an Ice Shard crit break our sub into like I don't KO with the Moonblast and they KO me back. And then it's up to Klefki to finish him off. But yeah, there's just not enough damage at all. That's crazy. Shadow Eye is so locked into it. They're probably going to break the sub for sure, and then it's going to be up to the backs to like try and break the Flutter, but I don't think it can. I don't think backs can through the Reflect. Let's go. And the para. Don't forget the para. The big para. Icicle Crash. Any critters? Nope. Alright, we should be fine here. Last turn, Reflect. So let's actually think about what we need to do here. Because like this could go dicey. We could get the backs off the board. And Thunderwave the Flutter into like a 2-shot with D-Gleam. So like we, not D-Gleam here. We go Thunderwave here. This is actually a hard sell here. Thunderwave is good there. Into a Moonblast into the backs. Cool. So they're going to take out our Flutter, and then next turn we're going to double dip them with 2 Dazzling Gleams, and I don't think they actually KO us. And this actually forces them to go through a para to do it too. You could say, just take out the Flutter and force the already paralyzed backs to get you. And you might not be wrong, but like I already know that they have like Earthquake on that backs. And like I don't want to deal with that against our Klefki, right? Our Reflex expiring. I think we have a much better shot on this Klefki, who actually has like, you know, if we take a look at our EV spread here, we have like we have full HP, heavy Spadef. I think we eat this Shadow Ball. So we only have to eat 1 and not get crit. So we don't want a light screen here. We're just going to go for 2 hits with Dazzling Gleam. Now it's single target Dazzling Gleam damage. We should be able to take it out. And we have speed control, right? So they have to KO us right here. This is their one shot to OHKO us. And we live. Yep, easy peasy. Like, that's literally it. I think this was definitely the right play. Because if we just took out the Flutter and lost our... if we lost our Flutter to their Flutter that turn, and it was just Klefki versus backs, and backs were still, like, full... I think the backs could have just KO'd us with an Earthquake there. We would have had to, like, really play around, and I think this is just the highest % chance. But if you guys have any better ideas of how we could have solved this, let me know in the comments. I think this was the cleanest way that we could have sealed this deal. They had 1 shot to crit us, and that was it, and we just didn't let them have it. And we forced it. We forced them to go through multiple turns of para to get it, so it was pretty good stuff for that first game. All right, going up against a little bit of hard Trick Room. I think Dirge is an amazing lead versus this squad. I think Dirge is really, really good. I actually don't even know if we want to bring Klefki, but I think I will. I think just going like screens with setup is really good. I also think that like you could definitely go Wo-Chien here, but it's hard to say. I think there's something to be said for bringing out Flutter. I also think that things like Glimmora are very good here as well. I think we're going to go Flutter, and I think we're going to go Wo-Chien. I'm just not a big fan of Glimmora against these sort of cores. I feel like I maybe should be with like Mortal Spinning and stuff like that, but I don't like wasting my Tera. It's not even a waste. I don't like having to defensively Tera so I don't get messed up by Psychic or Psyshock, and then from there being like immediately weak to Torkoal. These hard Trick Room teams are very, very popular on ladder, but they're also ones that I think, you know, we're talking about like what's good in open team sheet or what's good in tournaments, best of 3, you know, best of 1. These are the sort of teams that are really, really good in best of 1, and even in best of 3, they can always win 1 game, but then once you realize what the item is on like the hat or the entity or the Torkoal or what have you, it's really hard for them to close out those best of 3 games. And so we see Psychic sees entity. We don't know if that's like Sash or Life Orb on the hat. But I think that we can actually still have a pretty good board state here. I don't know if we have to use Light Screen yet, but I think that we're fine. But the plan here is to go for like, I'm going to go for just a Torch Song here. I don't think there's a problem with Torch Songing. We're going to Torch Song into the entity actually, because I won't actually, let's think about that. We'll Torch Song into the hat. Doesn't really matter if we Torch Song into. And then we're just going to White Screen. And then next turn we're going to swap out the Klefki for the Wo-Chien. And I think that's a fine way to do it. We don't need to reflect anything right now. Pivot of Entity. Okay, so they actually led Entity, showed the seeds, and then immediately swapped it up for Torkoal, and then they're actually enabling our Torch Song. That is amazing. Thanks. We might just fodder the Klefki here and go Water Tera, just to be able to elongate presence on the board. That's just a lot of damage. Yeah, that's a lot of damage. There's the Trick Room. That's a greedy play. And that tells me that that Torkoal might not be spexed either. Just throwing that out there. It might be like a Chark Torkoal. I don't think there's an issue with going Protect here. And like, I kind of want to just Water Tera, because we don't need our Tera for like anything else in this matchup. None of our other mons like need to Terastallize away. So we're actually just going to Terastallize Water and sit for a turn. wasting the Trick Room turns. This lets us see their Tera as well, so it's pretty important. Big Torkoal. They shouldn't get an Oko here, and I wouldn't be surprised if, like... Oh, they are definitely clicking Eruption, but I don't think it's going to matter all that much. I think they're going to click, like, Psychic Eruption, and it's just not that much damage. We got the big Klefki Water Tera. Big fan of this one. Big fan of this set. Heavy Spadef. Screens up. And let's see if this forces them to do anything weird. They might also be, like, protecting with the hat. Dirge is protecting. So no protect, or else that would have went first. Survey says Eruption. This is doing literally nothing. And also, I just want to say this Dazzling Gleam doesn't do, like, a ton of damage back to the Torkoal, but it does just a little bit of damage. It makes that 150 base power move not 150, more like maybe like a 130 on a good day. And I think we're in a pretty good spot going forward. Bam. So one thing about this as well, about how these Trick Room teams like trade, is I actually think you don't want to KO the hat here. That's because if we KO the hat, they get to then bring out something that could exude a lot more pressure, like a Hands or even like a Bonnet or something like that. We actually just want to get the Torkoal dealt with. I wonder how much it did. So this is like a 120. I think it's actually still stronger to use Torch Song here, because we don't need to like Oko the Torkoal, but it's like a Sun boosted stab. It's like so much damage. This is where if I had Yawn, I would just Yawn the Torkoal. But this is fine. Deep-Wing plus the Torch Song is probably enough to get the KO. Eruption should be fine unless they get those big crits. Ain't doing nothing, bro. You can Psychic one of these. You can Psychic the Dirge. Ain't gonna do it, though. Nope. Power of Light Screen at Life Orb, too. Wow. So you're gonna lose your hat to my Klefki. Look at this damage. OMG. That's so much. And now your Torkoal is just a wet noodle. Right? I got the +2 special attack boost. We're waiting on your Trick Room. Bam. So Hat's going to get ticked out next turn no matter what. No matter what. We could have also just Slack Offed there. But I think we can actually just go Protect Skeledirge. I don't have a problem with Protect Skeledirge and just Dazzling Gleam. I see no issue with it. You can totally, like... They're trying to save that, so they're probably going to try and come back in and lock in Heat Wave later. That's just telling us a little bit about their set. And what is coming in here? Bonnet these. So they might be going for a Psychic into our Klefki slot. Because it's a pretty obvious protect from me. This is where if I got that Slack off, we would have just won the game. Good read. Savage read. You don't even know if you get the KO, though. Ah, so close. So Life Orb's going to tick that guy out. And there's one turn left of Trick Room. There is one Trick Room turn left. They could bring out Indeedee or Torkoal. In reality, they should be bringing out Indeedee, so then they can go for a defensive play into a Follow Me Re-Trick Room to try and win with Torkoal. So that means we want to go with... I don't think Wo-Chien's bad here, because I actually want to try and side Pollen Puff my Skeledirge. It's actually a pretty savage play, I would say. And because we're a Grass type, it can't be Rage Powdered. So in this exact state here, let's try and get away with it. Go for the Torch Song. Go for the biggest side Pollen Puff the world's ever seen. Hopefully we under speed. I want to see the speed. We have full EVs in speed. Sorry, we have full IVs in speed on the Wo-Chien. And we have 4 points in whatever. The Helping Hand. Yo, they want that damage. Sucker Punch? You can't Sucker Punch, buddy. Oh, Crunch. Good play, good play. Ah! The side Pollen Puff has failed me. But... all's not lost. We are going to be able to bring out the... Flutter. And I think Flutter can, like, low-key pin the Bonnet. I think both these mons together pin the Bonnet. Good play, though. Good play. I should have just Pollen Puffed Bonnet, I think, last turn. Like, actually, we're going to have to Moonblast. Which means if they want to go Protect... Bonnet. It's hard to say. I'll definitely walk the Moonblast. It's fine. And I'm going to actually Leech Seed the Indeedee. Because I think they might go Protect. Oh, they're pivoting that one out for Torkoal. They're just going to fodder the Torkoal to reactivate the Sun. I can respect that play. I can definitely respect that play. Good play. I just don't think they do anything to Wo-Chien. Because Torkoal's now done. Goodbye, Torkoal. And then I'm going to get a Leech Seed up on your Indeedee, which can't swap anymore. As long as I hit this Leech Seed, we should be fine. I actually want to say that I don't think this Indeedee has Protect. Because they also swapped it out the first turn, you know? Just my little 2 cents here. Trick Room's fine. Next we can go for a double protect if we want. I actually think what I'm going to do is probably protect the Flutter into a... I wonder what does more damage. I think Pollen Puff does more damage. But like Foul Play probably does a lot to this guy too. He has attack boost. We already saw their Tera. I think this is still fine. And you can't Rage Powder away my Wo-Chien either. So I think just going for like a protect here with like a Pollen Puff into that slot is going to do a lot. And I want to see if they're Sucker Punching. They obviously have the Crunch, but let's see what they want to do with it. I don't think they actually get the KO. There's the Follow Me. So yeah, sorry, why did I say you can't redirect? You can definitely redirect that. It's still super effective. Bullet Seed. Okay, so sub is just not the option here. Bullet Seed. So it means they're dice. It's going to do good damage, though. That's great. All right, so if that's going to be their play... Yeah, I think we got it. I don't think they can actually break the Wo-Chien with this board. They don't have the D-Gleam. Like, we're super set. We actually just want to nuke the Entity this turn. There's no reason to, like, go after anything else. They don't have Protect. The only thing that I think they could have done there was, like, protect the Bonnet. Try and, like, bait me to, like, Moonblast Pollen Puff into it. And then, like, go for, like, a pot shot, like, D-Gleam or something like that. I can't believe how much damage that thing's still doing through the Wo-Chien stat drop. That's nuts. It's probably calced exactly to do that, but this is actually a very bulky Fluttermane set. So we're still going to be able to get the KO on the Entity. And then it's going to come down to Bonnet versus Wo-Chien. And so they've shown Bullet Seed and Crunch. I don't think they have any. I don't think that thing... I mean, I guess it gets close combat. But I don't know if that's, like, going to be good enough. Let me just check my Trick Room turns. Because, like, I do outspeed this guy, so I might as well set up a situation where I could punish that. Alright, so we're actually going to go slow this turn. So if they close combat us, we're going to be able to get a situation where they don't KO us, and we hit them after their stat drop, and then we protect, and then we hit them with another one of those. So let's see that close combat. Crunch. That ain't going to be it. That ain't it, buddy. Pollen Puff busted. Oh my goodness. And the next turn we just protect and we're good. Cool. And the reason why we wanted to not protect that first turn and protect this turn is because now we're actually like putting our leftovers to work. So we're actually using our item correctly. If they had a sub, it doesn't really matter. There's nothing really to do with this set. And then we just wait out their speed control and we win. Cool beans. Good to see stuff. We also got to scout a little bit more of like their item. Obviously we know it's dice, but like if they had leftovers, we were able to see it. If they had leftovers and maybe they just got lucky with that Bullet Seed, that might have given us an inclination if they had sub. And this would be a good turn to just continue attacking that last turn to stop a sub from going up. So it's little things like that, you know, like we were talking about, you know, what format do you play? Open team sheet, closed team sheet. There's so many little things that go into playing in a closed team sheet format as opposed to an open team sheet one. So just think about the formats that you're actually building your teams for when you build your teams, and it will help you so much. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to go into the team fixing aspect of this video. We're going to tweak this team and help it succeed in the format that they chose. All right, so those two games went pretty well, but I do think this team can be improved in changing some of the moves, some of the Teras, some of the items, stuff like that. I think the core idea of these 6 mons work very, very well together. You can lead things like Klefki, Wo-Chien to stop most physical attackers, set up those screens, let Wo-Chien do Wo-Chien things. You can lead like Klefki Skeledirge into most matchups. It'd be even better with something like Yawn. You can lead Klefki Flutter into a lot of matchups, go for screens, fish for subs and pairs and stuff like that. I understand the reason behind the Glimmora. You want to get the big poisons up so you can use things like Hex, but in reality, this Glimmora set seems a little bit too combo based, and there's not like enough time to actually go for everything you want to do with the Glimmora with like the Venishocks and the poisons, enabling the hexes. That's just too much. You'd be better off actually just putting like Energy Ball and just like OHKOing some stuff with a good Grass Tera. Last but not least, I like the Tusk, but I really do wish that it had Earthquake just as an option over Knockoff. We're going to be stressing a lot in the next like aspects of team building over the course of this next month in building teams for the specific format that you want to use them in. If we take a look at the official team submission post again on Patreon, it says, be sure to list the type of format you plan on using these teams for. Are you playing them on ladder? You know, like we just did on the ranked switch ladder. Are you playing them on showdown? Are you playing them in open team sheet, closed team sheet, best of 1, best of 3, tournament, ranked? There's so many different formats. There's so many different formats in Pokemon, but I really do think that what separates the good players from like the players that just kind of do the same thing in games over and over and over again and never really seem to grow is that the good players build teams specifically for the format that they're playing, right? The teams that win these global challenge, these best of one closed team sheet tournaments, they have teams that are optimized in forcing your opponent to respect specific danger levels, forcing them to respect things. So for example, if we take a look at this team again, and you're building a team that you want to play on ranked in closed team sheet, but also in open team sheet, well, in open team sheet, they can see that you don't have Earthquake, but on closed team sheet, they don't know if you have Earthquake, and so when you lead something like Tusk, Flutter, they have to respect your ability to go like Flying Tera, Flutter, Earthquake, Tusk, and that's just not an option in an open team sheet format. They actually know that you actually don't have that much AoE at all. Your only AoE option in that situation is Rock Slide. You don't even have Dazzling Gleam. So what I'm trying to say is really think about the format that you want to play, because if we scroll back down on the post, I asked them to clarify like what format they want to play, and I say last thing, would you say this team is made for ladder, tournaments, open team sheet, closed team sheets? Let me know. And they say tournaments and ladder, and again, those are different. Unless you're playing on Showdown, where Showdown you can play open team sheet even though not everyone has to agree to it. Like you can't build a team for tournaments and ladder because they just work differently. And I'm not trying to say like you need to cheese every single person on ladder, but what you do need to do is bluff correctly. You need to say, I can do a bunch of stuff, respect my options. And what this team does is it says respect my options, but it can't follow through with any of them really. So that's the things that I think we need to actually rein in and make this team be actually able to capitalize on some of its potential danger levels. So that being said, we're going to take a look at breaking down some of these mons. I think the EVs on a lot of these mons are very nice. I don't think the EVs are really wasted. This is a good Skeledirge set. I even really like the last 4 that they put into speed. Oh, I'm not showing you guys the screen. Professional Pokemon player, guys. I really like the EVs on these teams. We're going to break down the mons one by one and take a look at them here. But I really like the last 4 they put in here. It's correctly using all of its EVs. It's splitting them up correctly. It's putting points in HP first while still having the correct amount of points in things like Spadef and defense. And the last 4 in speed I actually really like as well. If we go take a look at some common speed tiers here, there's a lot of popular base 60s, and I always tell people you don't need to use speed reduce on your base 60s because there's so many base 60s that want to just like speed creep just like a little bit of stuff. So if we were to take a look, let's see. So right in the 60s area, we have things like Oranguru, Grimmsnarl's been gaining a ton of popularity, so is Abomasnow, Tyranitar's 61, Fargiraffe 60. You want to outspeed all these things. Sylveon's another one that you definitely want to outspeed all the time. You want to outspeed these all the time. Scizzor's one that's 65, so it's like having the Dirge, like speed creep Scizzors that just have 4 or 12. It's really, really nice, so I really do like that. That being said, I think that you're still optimizing your nature correctly because you're putting the 10% to one of your higher stats, so it makes sense as well. I think the EV spread here is very, very good. What I think, though, is that you don't really need the Hex. I feel that you're trying to do this thing with, like, Hex and, like, Thunder Waves and Poisons from Glimmora, and this format just doesn't allow for that sort of, like, combo-based play. And I'm going to be real with you. Anytime that you're able to, like, it's a 2-turn play, right? You're either going to have your Glimmora set the toxic spikes and then get poisoned, or your Klefki over the Thunder Wave to enable them to be able to Hex. That's 2 like moves worth of things that are happening, or 2 different sets of things that are happening before you can do your one thing, which is the Hex. And in reality, you could just like Moonblast them, or Headlong Rush them, or Torch Song, get a stack that way. There's just so much more cost-effective ways of doing things. Hell, even Shadow Ball is better than Hex here because you can actually at least threaten a Flutter Mane on the first turn of the game. Hex is just a little bit too weak, and even in the best situation where you get Hex, I'd still rather take A+ and boost my special attack on a Torch Song, even in like a not very effective option. I think realistically a better option here would be something like Yawn. I think Yawn's very, very good. Being able to lead Yawn in conjunction with like Wo-Chien's and swap in those and do stuff like that is very, very good. I think Yawn's one of the best moves in the game, and it plays very well into Skeledirge's playstyle, being able to go for like Yawn, Protect, Slack Off, Yawn. It's like a super Gastrodon. So I think that Yawn would definitely make this guy work a lot more. And now you're probably thinking, but now I can't Flash Fire Mons. And that leads to like the next thing that I want to talk about when talking about selecting the type of format you plan on building for. Because realistically, if you plan on playing in tournaments, you got to think like, how well do you want to do in the tournament? Is this a live tournament? Is this a LAN tournament? Is this a tournament where you know the players, like a local, like a Premier Challenge? Because every single tournament has a different meta. For example, if you were to play in an online tournament, depending on the variety of players, you might see a decent amount of like Trick Room with Indy Armor Rouge. But if you play like a regional, you're not going to find an Indy Armor Rouge past like the second round just because like they're not consistent. If we talked about it a little bit in the Trick Room team that we just fought, those hard Trick Room teams aren't consistent enough to win a best of 3 when their only win condition is like, I need to get up Trick Room and win within 5 turns. The good players know how to wait that stuff out, which means those teams aren't as consistent, which means if you build teams that are very consistent, you won't be fighting those teams past like the second or third round if you're someone who's winning. So effectively, you can build teams that don't have to respect that matchup as much because it should not exist at that tournament level. So you maybe think like, oh, now I can't hit Armor Rouge because they have Flash Fire if you take off my Ghost attack. Well, realistically, you can still Yawn that Armor Rouge and still win with your other Pokemon. Great Tusk is good against those. Glimmora is good against those. Hell, Klefki, Wo-Chien doesn't really have to care that much about those if you put up your screens correctly. So you're not out of options, but I don't think you need that Ghost tech on Skeledirge. I think Yawn's just a very, very good option. One of my favorite things to do against Indy Armor Rouge is just let them Trick Room and just Yawn them out and make them waste their own Trick Room turns trying to, you know, get out of Yawns. So, or they just go to sleep and you win the game. So Skeledirge, the only thing I'd really change here is the Yawn. I like the Fairy Tera standard tech on Skeledirge at this point. Safety Autos is cool. I didn't think I was going to like it as much. I thought I was going to like the Leftovers more. It's good stuff. I like it. I like always having that option to swap in on Amoonguss and then not only swap in on the Spore, block it, but then be able to repin opposing Amoongusses with a fire type. Very, very good stuff. I like it a lot. Glimmora. I feel like I'm the jerk here because like I don't know exactly how much I would change about this Glimmora. If we go take a look at their team submission post, right? They talked about having huge weaknesses to flying and ground, and then Annihilate gives them problems, and they were talking about like maybe changing out like stuff for like Dragapult or Earthworm. And again, these are sort of things where if those things are really giving you problems, you got to think about how realistically you're fighting them in the exact format that you're playing them against. So if you're fighting the same team on ladder, maybe you can make those changes. Or maybe if like you're fighting the same team in like your local tournaments because certain players use certain teams that you know that those players are prone to bringing, maybe you make some changes. But I don't think the Glimmora needs to be changed. I think realistically, the fact that you're using a vest, I think a Sash would be better. It would also add a second protect to your team. And I don't think, I might just be full of it and say this because this is how I like to play Glimmora. But like, I think Sludge Bomb's good. I think Power Gem's good. I think, what is it, Energy Ball? I think this is the safest way to play Glimmora. Well, you basically still do all the things that your Glimmora did, and you're technically still functioning the same way. You were running a full speed Glimmora before. You can click that button and do the same thing over again. Except for we cut the Mortal Spin for Spiky Shield. And then we can click the button differently. Haha, look at that new button. And I would just put the last 4 into HP in that. But yeah, I think that like this sort of set's very, very good, and it's a really, really strong mon. I know a lot of people like to lead Glimmora. I like to bring it in the back and just close out matchups. I like to bring it in the back because Glimmora is one of those Pokemon that says like, all right, got the Glimmora in the back, and they're like, I'm gonna hit that because like it's vested, and then they hit it, and you Spiky Shield, you break their Sash, and then you just finish them off with an absolutely massive Power Gem. It has amazing offensive coverage on this thing. And I think it's the perfect mon for just like solving a lot of those like late game matchups, solving those Palafins in the back, solving those Shenpaos, those Dragonites, those big Fairy Tera Fluttermanes. I think it's a really, really good mon, and I would just, sometimes simple is better, and I would definitely say try this, and you're probably going to get better results doing something like this than trying to like make an Assault Vest combo set like you were before trying to work. So I would just say try this one. Wo-Chien, Poison Assault on this guy. Good set. I don't know how I feel about the foul play. I found in most situations where I actually need to do just a little bit of chip, I just use Leech Seed. So that being said, I think if you were to cut a move here, you could cut the foul play. That being said, what would you cut it for, right? That's the question. You could technically cut it for taunt in some situations. I've seen people use sub on Wo-Chien. I've used screens on Wo-Chien. I don't really know if there's anything worth cutting it for. It's really hard to say, right? I think foul play is a very, very solid option, and I've used foul play on this guy as well, too. I've seen people use Snarl on Wo-Chien. Something like Spike could actually be really, really cool. You don't really see that often. Ingrain could be something to be really, really cool to see. A different terrain to where like you can just let them go get up Trick Room, and then you just like terrain away. That'd be really, really sick. Mean Look can sometimes be really good. There's so many different moves that these guys get. You could also even realistically put like Sunny Day to enable your Tusk Flutter. That could be something that could be kind of cool. You could put Scary Face for some speed control. I think there are a lot of options on Wo-Chien that a lot of people aren't investing into. That being said, foul play is still very, very standard, and it keeps people from being able to set up in your face. So I think that you're still fine with things like foul play, but if you're struggling with specific matchups, maybe add some speed control or some screens or anything else. That being said, the EV spread's very good. You're doing exactly what I've talked about multiple times. You fill out that HP first, and you put over 60 points in a respective stat to give yourself, what about 5 or 6 more % chance to live. So I actually wouldn't change your EVs here. It's more about just changing your approach to the matchups, I think, and thinking about how if you're playing this team in ladder, like make sure you're playing it for ladder to win that one game. If you're playing it for like tournaments best of 3, those are all going to be best of 3 usually. You can understand that like sometimes like you're going to take an L in game 1 and then you need to tweak things and change things for games 2 and 3 to work correctly. So I think that like this is still a really good play. I think foul play is great for closing out things like it's great against things like Dragonite in the late game situations, but Snarl could be good. Body Slam could sometimes be seen as viable too for those 30% chance paras. I would say if I were to cut anything, I'd cut it for sub, but foul play is still really good. The Tusk, I think I talked about this a little bit. You can actually go full attack Adamant Tusk because we take a look at the damage calculator and we plug in like a Great Tusk, right? So if we plug in like a Great Tusk and be sure to set all these things to level 50 whenever you're using the damage calculators. Set these guys to 50, and we're going to go like 252 Jolly. And we're going to plug in like an Iron Bundle. If I can type Iron Bundle right here, we should have set that guy to 50, and we have ourselves set to Jolly. So if we were to do this, and we were to fight against like a full speed like bundle that's like Timid and stuff like that, this is a 136 base speed, so by proxy outspeeding bundle lets us outspeed everything. Bundles faster than things like Flutters, things like Talonflames, Meowscaradas, all that, what have you. You can see that we like get ourselves a Choice Scarf here. We outspeed that by a lot already, and we can actually take away the Jolly and still outspeed it by 2 points. So not only do we speed creep it by 1 point, we speed creep it by 2. So the things that are made to just outspeed bundle by 1, we outspeed those by 1. You can still go Jolly if you're worried about the Tusk mirror, but I do think that like Adamant, it's so nice to have that Adamant boost, especially when you can get a Protosynthesis boost on top of it. It's like Chef's Kiss, really, really nice. You just do so much damage off that ground Tera. And the last thing I would change is I don't think you need knockoff. In any situation where you knock off, even if it's super effective, you're actually doing, I think you do more damage, almost, which is like a neutral Headlong Rush or close combat. And then you're locked into knockoff. I'm just not a fan of it. I do think that Earthquake here, or even like an Ice Spinner is good. I like the Rock Slide as well. I think Rock Slide's good on Choice Scarf sets. But Earthquake's so nice. You have Protect on so many mons. Here. This guy doesn't have Protect, but you can actually KO this thing and then open up a slot for something else that can come out that can Protect or something like that. I think that just the potential to clean out a game, because the only way you should be actually using Great Tusk is like a cleaner in the back. Just come out when they have like their Chi and their Flutter and just roll them over in the end. That's exactly what you need to do. Gotta have Earthquake to make that work. Otherwise, you're locking yourself on like Rock Slide, and that can't get the same amount of KOs. So try the Earthquake. Even if you only use it in like 2 out of 10 games, it's still going to get you a lot of wins. The Klefki set. I think Klefki's fine. Water's a great Tera on it. It's great against those Trick Room teams. This is the exact set that you use. The one thing that I would see if we might want to change here is that I think that something like a Flutter Mane. So something like a Flutter Mane might actually be kind of hard to break for Klefki if they put up sub. I think that being able to see how much damage we do with Dazzling Gleam versus like Flutter, and maybe getting ourselves into a situation where, because Klefki doesn't have like a bad special attack, it's 80. I just want to see what would happen if like we put some points into this thing. We'd have to put like, probably like, that's too many points. It'd have to take like even full special like Modest can't even like break a Flutter Mane sub if they have no investments. It's not even worth it, but it was definitely worth checking. It's good to know that we can 2-shot that sub though, I think. We at least want to get to the spot where we can 2-shot the sub, and it's definitely already there. So we can 2-shot that sub if they put up a sub. Remember, subs take 25% of your health. The last thing here is if you could, you might want to put like, you still have your 4 points left over, so you might as well just want to put those in speed, right? And actually this is wasting points. 108. So something like that would be a more accurate use of your stats. That being said, Klefki works fine. And like I was talking about, you don't always need to change your EVs or change your Teras or do a bunch of other weird stuff. A lot of it is just like slowing the games down and analyzing your situations and getting rid of your opponent's win conditions or forcing them to win in a way that isn't what they initially chose. If you can say, hey, you know, I'm opening myself up to this weakness that you're going to have to like play out of your mind to get to, if you can find it and the game's going to last like 10 turns, make your opponent hop through every single hoop imaginable to get to it. Just slow the game down a lot. That's what this team's good at. Last but not least, we have the Flutter. I still like the Fairy Tera double dip. I thought I was going to like the Moonblast and that I'd rather have Dazzling Gleam, but I think it's fine. And as for this moveset, be sure to set this to 50 so we can actually see our EVs correctly. I think that this is okay, but I don't think that like you need this much speed on the Flutter. Actually, you can cut a lot more speed on Flutter and still make it work. That being said, this probably, I don't know exactly what it outspeeds because they didn't tell me. I'm thinking about what it could outspeed. Let's just run some calcs and see. So we have a Flutter on this side. We have 196. 196 with Speed Nature. That's a lot of investment in speed, by the way. And then they boost her on top of it. Like, that's 297 is a really weird number because it's not outspeeding base 130s. It looks to be Talonflame. When Talonflame's at like +1, which like it should never get to +1. Or like a +1 Mon that's around that level. So it's just a really weird board state to have because Talonflame's like a 126. So it's going to be like, I think Talonflame's a 126. We got 252 Jolly. Let's just take that out for now. So it speed creeps Talonflame, but there's nothing else. If we were to actually take a look at the meta, there might be like a weird like Choice Scarf or like a Tailwinded Chi-Yu. That might be it. But let's take a look at like this. So like you see like Talonflame's not 130, it's 126, right? So there's like a bunch of other mons that like we'd already kind of outspeed these things. Let's see. Actually, I want to see what that is. Is that like a base 100 in Tailwind? 334. 297. It doesn't even outspeed that. So like I wonder what that's for. Because we're still under speeding base 100. So it looks like it's actually outspeeding. Is it base 95s in a Tailwind? 96 in Tailwind? Alright, so that outspeeds Mimikyu in Tailwind. It's a weird calc. What you would actually want to do is outspeed at least base 100s in Tailwind. If you're already going to go that far, right? Might as well outspeed base 100s in Tailwind. And that would look something like that. So you're able to outspeed base Chi-Yu, and then at that point you can see we have 244. You might as well just go 252. Now that all being said, because so you don't speed tie other, so you're not losing speed ties to other speed Tera or like Timid Flutter mains. That being said, I don't think you need this much special attack, or sorry, speed at all. I think you can actually cut a lot of it. I think actually what I like running here is like a 148. And I actually think I can get away, you can get away with Modest in that situation. Goes at 261 off your +1. This lets you outspeed base 111s, right? Back out here. This lets you outspeed base 111s. Or it's been a while since I've run some of these. Yeah, sorry, not 111s. So base you outspeed a couple other things. We want to go a little bit faster. We want to outspeed those base 111s. There. So 190. Oh, is it 196? It's 196 Modest. That's what it was. So yeah, I don't think they need the Timid here. I think the Modest is probably right. So this lets you outspeed base 111s, which is like things like Lycanroc, Mousehold, stuff like that. Actually, Lycanroc's a base 112. Mouse is a 111. So we want to outspeed Lycanroc right there. So 181 right there. And then from there, you can still get away with the luxury of being Modest, but then you lose just a little bit over here. But I think it's just a better way to do it. I don't think you need that much speed. If there's something that you need that much speed for, let me know in the comments, or if you just found that spread somewhere. You always want to be deliberate with your sets. With this set, we outspeed base 112s like Lycanroc, even without our Protosynthesis, even without our booster. So like if for some reason we were to get like a stat drop or something, we'd still be outspeeding them by 1 point, which means we by proxy outspeed everything slower than Lycanroc, which is basically all of, you know, these things like Tusk, Jugulus, Mousehold, Jumpluff, Screamtail, stuff like that. So we still by proxy outspeed all those other things. And then from there we do so much more damage now that we're actually using our nature. But the problem is if we want to go nature, booster into the wrong stat. It's a conundrum. What if we booster into Modest? What if we still nature into Modest, right? But then we take some points out. That seems like a waste. So then we should probably just go Timid, right? We want to get to 181 is the number that we need. We can go 76 there. We can keep the 188 there because that's what you had before. And then we have 236 points left to do with whatever we want. We're bringing this up to 180. Or what was it actually submitted as before? I'm going to find out. Look at me. Hey, you know what? I work on all your guys' teams too. So don't say I didn't work on anything. It's 116 is what you had. So you already have the calcs for 116. So we have these extra 120 points. Throw them in bulk. Screw it. You're technically functioning at the same speed tier. You're technically doing as much damage as you were before. Now you're way, way, way bulkier. Way bulkier. Like crazy amounts bulkier. And you may be thinking, why don't you just max the defense before putting the points in HP? I like the points in HP. I think it works. And I think this is definitely like worth messing with. So try this out. Let me know what you think. We're going to play some games on Showdown and see if the changes that we made and the idea behind, you know, being a little bit more deliberate and playing this on ladder actually helps us in that best of one situation. So let's go do that right now. All right, let's see. Gholdengo is somewhat of a hard matchup, I would say. But I think that we're fine. Now, again, this person says VGC Pro Real has agreed to open team sheets. Now, the thing is, like, they got to learn to work an open team sheet, right? But the thing is, it's like, do you want open team sheet or do you want close, like ladder? Because they're different, right? So we're just going to, I built the team to work better on ladder. So let's go with deny because we're villains. And I don't think that like you should hate people for denying to open team sheet because they're just different formats. They're just different formats. We're practicing this for a ladder. That being said, we got 60 seconds. Don't ever let the timer stress you out. We got time. Their whole team is like big, weak to flutter, so you can lead flutter big into that. And what I like to do is lead flutter, make them over-respect the flutter, and weave in a free yawn. You don't need to bring Klefki out right now. This is where a great time to bring Tusk in the back is, and this is perfect for that like late-game Glimmora cleanup. It's going to be absolutely massive. So just, again, go into each matchup and force your opponent to have to like win in ways that make it just a little bit harder for him to win. What's also one mon that's like really good against something like flutter, something like Gholdengo. You can go protect flutter and just pin that Gholdengo. There's the Gholdengo right there with the big dirge. This is a great lead for us. I think I wouldn't be surprised if that was like a Scarf Dango or something, but like I think we can actually get away with subbing here. I'm gonna go for the protect first, and one thing I really like is going protect and then sub. I love that. We're gonna go protect Torch Song, and I don't think we're gonna lose the dirge this turn because Pulse shouldn't be able to do that much to it. And I don't think like Shadow Ball just OHKOs the Dirge either. Dirge is so bulky. And so let's see it. And so this is going to hopefully put that Gholdengo within range for something like Flutter to take out next turn. And the cool thing about this is they're forced to respect things like Dazzling Gleam. They're forced to respect a lot of stuff. They see they have a speed boost right now. They're going to try their absolute best to get that guy off the board. And even if they were to go for like a Phantom Force with a Pult and target... Oh, Gyarados swap in. Cool. We take those all the way to the bank. This might be a really good turn for us. Protect. Cool. So now our Flutter's like really extended, right? They're going like, yo, I can get that guy off the board. I can hit that thing. And we just sub. We don't have to like pull the trigger into that guy. If we were to Moonblast into that guy, they swap and Gholdengo, we lose. If we just Shadow Ball into it, which is better, they could swap and Gholdengo and we win. But like I feel it's risky. There's no reason not to go sub and I think Yawn the Gyarados. Gyarados probably has Lum, but I still think this is a very, very good play. It's slowing the game down so much because if we get the Yawn off, next time we just double protect, Gyarados is either protecting or switching, and then we're in a great spot. So let's see how VGC Pro Real can deal with this. There's that steal. You see what I mean? There's no reason to like overextend right now. Light screen's fine. Absolutely fine. Big EQ into your own steal, Tera. And yeah, that was a weird board state. So yeah, they thought that they had us right there. In this situation, they also show... let's see what I want to do here. I don't hate this board state position for me. We can weave another protect. Gyarados is drowsy. They're probably swapping it out for Gholdengo. And I'm not that afraid of the Pult. We also still have our Tera up here. So what we can actually do here is... I think that Pult's going to be very defensive. I can go for a big Moonblast into it. Or I could also just go for like... I'm just going to sub again. And just go for a Torch Song into it. You got to swap. You got to do something here. I can get a free sub out of this. You want to swap in for Gholdengo? Go nuts. Yep, absolutely fine. Subs up. You're going to be going to bed. Oh, they go for the Waterfall. Cool. Are you Wum? You could totally beat Wum. That's totally fine. Like, we didn't really lose anything. We got a sub out of it. Right? So you can come out here with your Fake Out now. And so we can just double protect. Is there a problem with double protect? Do we need to? Just go for a Shadow Ball. And let's Spiky Shield here. Because we don't need to just lose our Sash right now. Unless they... Well, they have 2 mons that aren't affected by the poison. So we can just Spiky Shield. Gholdengo pivots. Absolutely fine. Let's see if they protect or Trick Room. Protect. Wow, good play. Yeah, they're making good plays here. I don't think it's the end of the world, though. We still haven't Tera. Note that we've played like 5 turns in the game. Don't need a Tera yet. The Gyarados is more problematic. I want to get that guy off the board so I can unlock Tusk and just come out and Earthquake everything. So we'd like to get a KO on something this turn. I'm actually going to nuke the Gholdengo slot. Or maybe I shouldn't. I don't think we get any KOs here. I'm actually going to protect my Flutter this turn and go for just a Sludge Bomb into the Goth. I think it's probably a fine play. Helping it. They tried to helping hand the Gholdengo. Wow. Yeah, there's no reason for us to like overextend. You can make it rain. That's totally fine. You're going to get a KO here. I think it's okay. Special attack dropped. So this turn they might want to swap. We know that there's Protect over there. I think I'm going to Shadow Ball here. And I'm actually going to... I can't swap in my Tusk. So we're just going to Spiky Shield and the elongate the presence of the board. I think they're going to protect their Gothitelle. They might even just swap out the Gholdengo. If we can get the Gholdengo off the board here, we're probably going to win. If we can get anything off the board here and bring out that Gyarados again, we're going to be in a great spot. And I think a good way to do that is also like protecting the Glimmora. I like the full speed on the Glimmora, being able to outspeed the Gyarados as well. So let's see. It's a long game, right? This team plays a long game. Even if you don't use Wo-Chien, there's a Dragapult. Yo, that's a piece down. Show me that Protect. Oh my gosh, it's almost like I'm the VGC Pro Real. Yeet. Next turn they go down. 3 turns off on white screen. So they were screens Pult. Like clay. I like Clay Pult. This is where a Dazzling would have been very nice. You Shadow Ball, it's fine. We outspeed. And then you might as well just go for a Sludge Bomb into the Gothitelle. Ooh, getting damage on Gyarados. We take those. Yeah, all the way to the bank. You can totally KO the Glimmora. I can't do anything about it. But I'd like a poison. Oh, Psyshock. Okay. The longer they let us keep this Glimmora, like the better. Because now I can just go for Power Gem into it if I want. Is there an issue with double protecting here? I don't see one. I don't see an issue with double protecting here. You don't have anything that threatens me. Psyshock. Okay, cool. So if that's the way they're going to do it. If we get the Gyarados off the board, then we win. So that means we just go Moonblast, Power Gem, and a Gyarados, and we get it off the board 100%. And then we just bring out Tusk, and we go EQ, EQ, EQ to the... Oh my gosh! I'm the VGC Pro Real! It's me! We know they don't have Citrus because they use Llama already. Bro! You ever seen anyone as good as me? And the fact that we can go 100% into this, haven't used Tera, haven't done anything, because we know we have Tera in the back. Now this turn we just nuke that guy. Doesn't really matter what with. I think it might be a better idea to not waste him on this turn. Let's see. It's fine. They have to go for double protect. This is going to redirect into the Gholdengo and just do small chip. But I think that we have like enough shots here. And they already Tera. They steal Tera the Pult. Like, we got it. Easy peasy. Easy peasy. 10 turn game? Wait, all 10 turns. Got a crit. Didn't need it, obviously. They can make it rain. Get that stat drop. Oh, Hex. See, like I told you, man. Hex ain't the play. Hex ain't the play. Bring out that Tusk. We're going to pop a Protect. Go for that big EQ. And big Protect. Big Ground Tera. Click that Earthquake. Making the changes that we made having an impact. And I feel like this team plays like so much better now that like you can weave in that you have so much more checkmate pieces, right? I really like the way this team plays now, and hopefully you like the changes as well. Again, for the person that's been to the team, if you don't like the changes that I made and you say like, well, I want to only do tournaments, or I want to only do this or only do that, I think that you should just have a different team for every different thing that you want to do. Case in point, you know, if you were to build a team for like in singles, for like the lowest tier, like the NU or like PU, you wouldn't use that same team in PU, NU, UU, OU, Ubers, etc. You'd build a different team for every single format, and VGC is no exception. So if you're really struggling with like ranked closed team sheet, maybe go build a team that's specifically made to show and tell. Because what like when you're playing and you're playing in a closed team sheet, you show but you don't tell. But when you're playing in an open team sheet, you have to show it and tell it. You actually have to be able to capitalize on the things that you're saying. Otherwise, you just get bodied. Like, that's why moves like Protect are really, really good in open team sheet, because they can force your opponent to actually respect those slots. In an open team sheet, when you go up to a tournament and you show a team that's like no protects, they can double into everything that doesn't have protect, knowing they will always either get a KO on that Pokemon or the Pokemon that's coming in to replace it on a switch, because you're forced to switch because you need a defensive option, is going to take too much damage and you're still losing. That's a pin, right? And so in open team sheets, it's really good for people to pin you if you don't have the right amount of protects, which is why I always tell people to use protects. But, you know, I think I made some good changes this team. I think we played this game really well, and it was a lot easier to play this game well because we forced our opponent into winning in a situation that wasn't their 100% like optimized choice. We forced them to really over-respect Flutter early, we showed that sub early, and we forced them to over-respect that slot for the minute of the game, and it led to us eventually weathering their storm and, you know, coming back after dropping them on early. So hopefully you like these changes. Again, if you guys want to submit your teams, this will be up all May, probably going into a little bit of next month. We're accepting VGC Regulation C teams right now. I don't know if they're going to announce a new format anytime soon. I assume they're probably going to announce a new format sometime soon, and then we'll probably transition and accept more teams for that. But I think we have like 5 or 6 teams already. I'm working on recording all of these this week that are up, and yeah, if you guys have any questions, please let me know in the comments section below. I always say to people, if you ever have wanted to support the channel, even 1 month in the lowest tier on Patreon supports me more than watching literally every single video in terms of like how money works. Like, ad revenue on YouTube is pretty not great. So even 1 month at the lowest $2 tier helps me out more than watching all the videos on the channel. So if you guys want some help fixing your teams, you want me to take a look and fix your tournament teams or your ranked teams or whatever format teams you have, think about checking out the Patreon. And other than that, thank you so much for watching. Peace out, and I'll see you guys next time.